Hey friends, it's Dom. It's Monday morning. That means it's launch time. I'm really excited to get into this because this is like the gospel that our whole ministry, the 1010 group, is based on. John 10:10. So this is our day. We're popping champagne over here. Mimosas this morning is happening for sure. Also, sometimes October 10th, we also say is our day because it's 10:10. But this is our day because the gospel of 10:10 appears in the Sunday reading. So really everything from now until October is just kind of our day. So we have a lot of days here. But I'm excited to say the least about what today stands for, what this gospel means for us. I want to get into it, so let's not waste any more time. Okay, in this gospel, Jesus is just calling it out. He's saying, look, there are other voices that are out there that you shouldn't listen to, right? He goes, look, I'm coming in through the gate. I'm coming in the way it's supposed to, but you're going to have other voices. They're coming through the side. They're climbing the fence. They're sneaky, right? They're trying to find a loophole. They're trying to sneak in. If they came right through the gate, you'd recognize them, that you'd know it wasn't right. And so they come in some sneaky little way. They're like the little voice on your shoulder, the little devil on your shoulder. And they come in so that they're not fully exposed, but so that they can still get to you. And these voices try to manipulate you. They try to play off of your insecurities. They try to play off of your weaknesses. They try to play off of your selfish desires. They try to play off of your shame. And they act like they have your best in mind, but they don't. They actually come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Now, if that was the end of the gospel, it'd be like, okay, thanks be to God. I guess, is that the good news of Jesus Christ? I'm not really sure what's happening here. But we're not just a first half of the verse people, because a lot of times the good stuff happens in the second half of the verse. We just got to stick with it a little bit. And in the second half, Jesus goes, yeah, that's what the enemy comes to do, sure, to steal, kill, and destroy. But good news, I have come that you would have life in abundance. And I love the way he sets it up, because he's like, look, the enemy is real, and that's what the enemy has come to do. But guess what? You actually don't have to worry about that, because here's why I have come. And it's not like, well, the enemy's come to do this, and I've come to do this, and I hope I win. No. Jesus knows he will win. Jesus knows he is the Lord. He's saying, if you just cooperate, you can learn my voice. You can learn my voice, and then you won't be stuck listening to those other voices that want to steal, kill, and destroy. We're not just prisoner to the whim of whatever voice is speaking. We can actually learn to discern. We can learn his voice so well that we'll actually, the scripture says, we'll run from the other voices. We'll run from them because we discern that those are the voices of a thief and a killer and a destroyer. And we can learn to follow Jesus' voice and follow him closely. So just 3 things I want to take away from this gospel. Number 1, Jesus calls us by name. This is important. He doesn't call us by any other identity. He doesn't call us first sinner, liar, cheater. He doesn't call us weak. He doesn't call us insecure. He doesn't call us by our addiction. He doesn't call us by any other identity. And you'll notice that the other voices very often do call you by some other identity. Jesus calls us by our name. That's the first thing. Second thing, the scripture says he walks ahead of us and we follow him. That's what he says about the good shepherd. The good shepherd walks ahead of the sheep and they follow. See, the journey of a sheep is to be led by the shepherd. The journey of a sheep is not to be noticed by the shepherd or to impress the shepherd or to earn the love of the shepherd. It's not to go out in search of the shepherd. It's actually he who comes out in search of us and he who leads us. And our journey is to follow. Right? To be obedient. And I've said it before, if you follow my ministry, you know I've talked about this before. The word obedience comes from the Latin meaning to listen closely. To listen closely. So to be obedient is to be attentive, right? To listen attentively and to follow that voice, the voice of the Lord. That's what obedience is. Okay, third thing. The Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I shall want. That psalm. It's been my experience that closeness with God makes me want other things less. So it's not like, okay, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In other words, I'll get everything I want. If I just trust in the Lord, if I just say my prayers, and if I'm a good person, I'll get whatever I want. It doesn't really work that way, right? It's actually that I'll realize I don't need all those other things. It's not that we get everything we want, it's that we realize with him we have everything we need. And in that process, Our wants aren't all fulfilled, they're purified. I think this is the gift of being a sheep and having the Lord be your shepherd, is that you're freed from the desires of the world. It doesn't mean that you never feel them, but you're not held captive by them. You're not a prisoner to them. You're not a slave to them. Because you can recognize, when the Lord is your shepherd, you can recognize the voice of a thief and of a killer and someone who has only come to destroy. But you can also recognize the voice of Jesus and you can follow him. When I find myself letting in other voices, I find myself being brought off of the path, so to speak. And it's right there when I'm brought off the path that I stop letting myself be shepherded by God, and I let other desires and other wants take over. I start to think that God can't satisfy me, but that there's something in this world, on this earth, that can satisfy me completely, but it isn't God. And I go in search of that, and I listen to all the little distractions, and I follow all the little whims and wherever the wind blows me. And that's a trap. Because ultimately, I think that's where the thief and the killer and the destroyer come in. See, they don't just come into a beautiful little pasture as we're out there grazing, and they don't just in one fell swoop steal and kill and destroy. No. It's little by little. Those little voices come in. They bring us off the path. They try to blur our vision of who God is and who we are in God's eyes. We forget that he's the good shepherd. We forget that we're the sheep that's supposed to follow him. And we go out in search of something on our own. And we get totally lost. At least that's how it's worked for me in the past. But this is the gift of being a sheep and letting the Lord be our shepherd, is that we can learn his voice. We can discern, so we don't have to worry about being brought off the path, because we can learn his voice. We can literally learn the gift and the power of discernment. This week, find a concrete way to let the Lord's voice into your life, maybe in a way that you haven't been. Find a concrete way to bring something to the Lord and say, speak, Lord, your servant is listening. I am here. Lord, I am willing to be guided. I am willing to follow. Lord, lead the way. Help me be a sheep. Help me know that you are the good shepherd. Help me follow. Help me reject the voices that are not from you and help me follow you. Find some concrete way to do that. For me, I think it's going to be making sure I pray before I get out of bed and before I touch my phone. Before I even check to see what time it is, making sure I invite the Lord into my day. That's going to be just one simple way for me this week. I hope that you can find some maybe creative way to do that for you. Go be launched. We'll see you next week.